$200,000 in government handouts for home buyers. Only in Australia. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and probably add some rum to it, because you're going to need it for this one. When I saw this, I thought, okay, I need to talk about this tonight, and we need to have a look at this. Over 1.5 billion investment to provide more housing than ever before from the Premier of Tasmania. Doesn't that sound good, guys? $1.5 billion. Almost like the government is coming to the rescue of the property market. Now, let me just bring up a little chart here, a few reminders to viewers of the channel about how the government has come to the rescue in recent history for the economy and for all of us. Because, remember, government are our friend. They always have our interest at heart. They just magic money out of thin air. It's not like... Do you think they don't realize? Honestly, serious question here. Do you think the civil servants don't understand where the money comes from? That just by moving around the chairs on the Titanic, they're just going to make more of a mess than anything else. They're going to block up all the life rafts. Anyway, the life rafts. I'm getting tired. So, they've kept zombie companies alive. We had companies entered in administration lower than required. Insolvency rules, provisions changed. JobKeeper, up to 9% of Victorians were supported by this at one stage, everyone. You had, here we go, the JobKeeper applicants, and just the numbers. How many people were supported by this? And if you add the civil servants onto it in some of these states, it's even more concerning. But then we had just the constant juicing of the market, the housing market. I was talking to a neighbor, literally, as I was taking the bins out tonight, walking here to the studio, he was telling me how he's selling a place a few suburbs over. He's chucked 50 grand into it. He bought it for 600. He's hoping in the nines. It's insane, guys. And we're talking, a few rings out of Brisbane. You're not talking in a city. But, you've got the cash rate, how it's crashed. Now we've pretty much become used to a cash rate of 0.1%. You've got 3% used to be considered emergency levels. We've got Home Builder, which juiced up the housing market and just, created a lot of mess and a lot of costs. The goal of it wasn't to provide housing. The goal of it wasn't to give, homeowners bonuses or to get people into housing. It was to stimulate the economy. And in that regards, it worked. Sure, we all felt like we got some free money, but everything got so expensive that it was kind of pointless. But don't worry about that. You got first home buyer grants, 88 grand. Remember when we used to think 88 grand was a lot? Don't worry. Not anymore. Tasmania just throws that out the window. You got the 5% and the 2% government loan guarantees. The 2% was for single parents. And it's coming back again in this Tasmanian thing. Negative gearing, that's a cultural phenomenon now. And you've got the super withdrawals. And sure, the super companies like to spread their propaganda that everyone pissed it away and spent it on rubbish and boob jobs. Well, a lot of people used it just to pay off debt or to get into a home. And, what does that tell you? It's a cultural phenomenon to want to get into housing. I don't blame people. You don't have to deal with all the real estate, the rental, all the shit. You can do what you want to your house. And then we had, these are more endemic issues of reducing housing supply, council making it painful just to do any type of projects. You've got the mortgage holiday, which reduced supply of people over-leveraged onto the market. And the NIMBY crowd. They're the worst ones. They're not in my backyard crowd, everyone. Who want, they'll pontificate as a bunch of inner-city champagne-sipping socialist wankers about housing affordability and all this other garbage. But then they'll do everything they can, I'm assuming unintentionally, I think they're just that stupid, to push up housing costs. Look at the Greens insisting on air conditioning in every bloody house, guys. These people, they've got equal votes to all of us. Then you've also got the ones, the investors, who will intentionally vote for these idiot Greens because they want housing costs and supplies to be limited. Can't blame them. Use the system. So here we have another policy, more government intervention. We also have an election coming up, guys. So maybe the cynic in me is seeing this as just more election pandering. Let's go through this while I have a shot of my coffee. Oh boy. We had a good day today. There wasn't much rain at all, and I've managed to strip all the damage out of the laundry we got from the insane storms we've had in Queensland. Hopefully it'll calm down and I can get all work done in the house. But yeah, anyway, let's get back to this. 1.5 billion investment to provide more housing than ever before. As part of our plan to secure Tasmania's future, we're taking unprecedented action to assist the housing needs of Tasmanians. Today, we're taking the next step by announcing a massive 10-year housing package in excess of 1.5 billion to build on our existing reforms and take further action to provide affordable housing. The only way to address rising house and rental prices is to increase supply. So we're building on our existing $615 million program to deliver 3,500 new dwellings and homes by 26 and 27. Well, they're right there. You need to increase the supply of housing. Now, there's a few ways you could do it. Juice up the market, which drives up costs, or reduce impediments to housing. Reduce the red tape. Reduce the burdens you place on people who want to build housing. This is the issue here, everyone. We're in such a litigious society here in Australia. No, people don't want affordable housing. They don't want it. They want to restrict what people can build. They want the council to have requirements on what their neighbours can do. They even in certain developments, they want to control the type of paint and materials you can put in your house. These are the type of people we have in this country, everyone. We're a bunch of Karens. The new statutory authority, that's going to be perfect, that was announced last week, will have the capacity to borrow and invest with a balance sheet of more than $2 billion. So here's the thing. Where's this statutory authority going to get their money from? Where does the government get all of their money from? I wonder. You know what's probably more concerning than housing affordability for Tasmanians is the fact that the number of functionally illiterate people in Tasmania for adults is insanely high. Look it up on Google, everyone, because I thought when I heard that, I thought it was like a sad joke. Over the next decade, it will be tasked with building and acquiring an additional 6,500 homes and units on top of the current target of 3,500. This leads to a total of 10,000 new dwellings by 2032. The expected new direct investment will be in excess of $1.1 billion. We are also announcing today that all stamp duty and first homeowner grants and concessions will be increased to a $600,000 threshold. $600,000 threshold. What in income you can earn, or how much is the stamp duty you're charging in that state? See, this is the thing. These are all taxes. If you look at how much of a house is actually taxes, it's kind of depressing, everyone. Including the previous changes, this results in a 50% increase, keeping in line with rising property prices. Oh, I'm assuming that 600,000 is the value of the property. This means that an eligible first home buyer or a pensioner. Why the hell is a pensioner purchasing a downsized property? Will save $11,250 on property duty when they buy a $600,000 home. Additionally, the government is retaining the first homeowner grant at $30,000 for 2022 and 2023 financial year. To further accelerate land supply, we will extend our HeadWorks holiday program, doubling the residential land rebate from $15 million to $30 million. We will be extending the threshold and eligibility for a successful home share program, which becomes the housing market entry program, allowing more Tasmanians to meet our income and asset test to access this much more generous program. We will improve the program by reducing the requirement for a deposit to 2% of the purchase price. 2%. There you go, everyone. We saw it first for single parents. Now, there you go in Tasmania, 2%. 2% is the new 5%. It's the new black, everyone. Quick, rush out and get it. So 2% of the purchase price and doubling the state's equity contribution to a maximum of $200,000 or 40% of a new home or units. So That's insane. The state's going to own 40% of your house. They tax you for your entire life. They burden you to how much people... I don't know why people enjoy paying taxes. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. I suspect it's because most people haven't actually had to physically pay their own taxes. It just gets taken out of their pay packet. They don't have to send that money away to the department. I'm assuming that's what it is. So, 40% of new homes or units, and up to 150 grand or 30% of the purchase price for eligible existing homes or units. The package will also be opened up to eligible first home buyers purchasing existing dwellings rather than building, who would otherwise be unable to obtain finance. If you can't obtain finance in an environment where interest rates are so low, so the amount of income you need to service a loan is pretty much a joke. Here we're talking, what, 600 grand? We're not talking much money in payments. This is all starting to sound like what they did in the States, isn't it? With all the government guaranteed housing, where the banks were lending to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, regardless of their ability to pay. Are these things getting packaged up in mortgage-backed securities? I know Combank has them. Are we heading down that path? Surely we couldn't be that stupid to repeat the mistakes of another country. We will, you know what will happen. I can't see it getting as bad, and I think the government would chuck money at it and increase our debt to the moon before we got as bad as the US. Let the future generations worry about it. We will extend the private rental incentive scheme from its current limit of 200 homes to 400 homes, creating another 200 affordable rental properties in the next 2 years. This is all market intervention. They're artificially intervening in the market. They're putting a burden on your back, and then they're taking a part of your home and you meant to kiss their ass for thanking them to allow you to do that. Shit. This is just the same crap again and again. And people will lap this stuff up. They'll lap it up because it's their chance to get in. Because we're so obsessed with housing in this country. Because it's the only way to get ahead. I mean, seriously, I told you before. Neighbor bought a property last year, 50 grand in it. He'll probably be walking away with another 250 grand profit. In a year. The highly successful ancillary dwelling grant program will be doubled to allow an extra 250 places over the initial allocation of 250, doubling our funding commitment to $5 million. Other initiatives that the government will be introducing include, as announced, we'll be resetting the tax-free threshold to $100,000 and lifting the upper tax thresholds to $500,000 while lowering the tax rate for land values between $100,000 and $500,000 from 0.55 to 0.45. Encouraging development at the edges of urban growth boundary by making rezoning applications easier. Good. Working with councils to achieve more shop-top apartments. I mean, they're all the bloody rage. But the problem, I mean, how many of them are dead down? The idea is I'm assuming what they're proposing here is to have mixed use development where you've got, a retail or activity at the ground level to try and activate it, and then living above. I mean, it's good. You want to maximize that, but you also need to have it around your transportation infrastructure. But we're talking Tasmania here. I guess maybe in Hobart or Lonnie, but I mean, it's been about a decade since I've been there, so I'm out of date. Better utilizing government-owned buildings by repurposing them for hire and better use. Assessing the viability of build-to-rent schemes. Providing safeguards for rent-to-buy schemes to encourage the uptake of them. Introducing a new apartment code to simplify medium-density apartment and townhouse approvals. And committing to a review of the utilization of our social housing portfolio to gain more efficiencies. So, there you go, everyone. Let's let's have a talk about this. Now, some good things here, reducing the taxation burden that you're placing on people to get into housing. Good. Making it easy for development and freeing up more land, reducing headworks charges. Great ideas. But such large equity stakes in people's housing and 2% deposits. I mean, here's the thing. The issue in Australia in getting in housing, it's getting a deposit together. Once you have a deposit together, once you're in a house, the repayments are nothing. Even if they're going to shoot up, okay, we're sitting at interest rates, locked in at 0.1, 2%, and you go up to 4 or 5%. You're going to cop it. It's going to be extra money every month, guys. But people will find a way to do that, particularly if they've been struggling to get into property. And, well, there's always the government coming back to the rescue then for people that they've got into these programs. ABC will just troll out a few people. Oh, I got in this government scheme and now they're taking my house away. A current affair will be there. It'll be a media hoo-ha. Albanese will be salivating at the idea of aligning with them. We'll come to the rescue. We'll save you. And we'll just get more and more debt, more and more burden, and more taxation placed on future generations. How the hell are we going to get off this bloody merry-go-round, guys? How? I'm an honest question. How the hell are we going to get off it? How are we going to stop? Because this shit ain't going to make housing more affordable. Sure, they need to increase supply. But they need to do it by getting out of the way. It's good to see they're starting to consider it. We need a culture shift. I can't see it happening. What do you reckon? We need to get... What would be interesting to see if we get more, let's see, individual liberty-minded politicians in Parliament at all levels, from council, state, and federal, to try and shift this. We need a culture shift in the councils so they can, make it easier for developments to happen. Right now, we're hearing stories of mayors going and crying to the federal government for political reasons that they can't handle their own cities and regional areas getting gentrified and people getting kicked out because cost of livings are just going through the roof because city people who've made their money are having a green change. What do you reckon? Hopefully, we'll start to see something happen in the next election. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments down below, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you want to help us grow. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can help out. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, or use affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. And I'd like to point you towards this last video I did, about the media reporting that housing is potentially going to hit a tipping point because... property will drop 0.1%. Can't make this shit up. See you next time.